Hi, welcome. Thank you. Hello, how are you? Hopefully you're doing well. Welcome to the live. Hi, how are you all doing? It's been a wild day for news, an actual wild day for news. But hopefully everyone's having a good Friday. I kind of wanted to just chill with you all for a little bit. Hi Duke, what's up? All right, let's go. Let's watch. We're gonna go into Jesse Waters. Oh, wait. Hold the phone. Hi, how are you all? Happy Friday. Wider than usual. I don't know what that means. Hi, you all. Hopefully everyone's doing well and having a good Friday. I see heavy weather from Texas all the way from Ohio to PA. We have pretty calm weather here, so I don't know. The weather here is very calm. Very calm weather here, which I'm okay with. I like the very calm weather. I'll take that in a heartbeat. Rainy storm down south. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Well, hopefully everyone's okay down south. All right, we got DOGE.
Into the Eisenhower building last night. Exclusive look into DOGE. Elon Musk was nice enough to invite us into the Eisenhower building last night to sit in on his weekly 10 p.m. DOGE meeting. Yeah, they usually meet at 10 o'clock. I'm almost in bed by then.
Me too.
We met the whole crew, even
Same
big
here.
balls. And they showed us how DOGE really gets done. We sat back, listened.
This is
and we learned a
wild.
lot, and we hope you do too. Here's part one of our exclusive interview.
Love it.
Elon, thank you so much for bringing us to the meeting here. I'm going to do something no anchor ever does. I'm not going to talk.
What?
For as long as possible. I'm going to let you run your meeting, and then I'll interrupt when I'm bored.
Good for
So
you.
take it away.
So, like a board meeting.
Jesse
Like a
Walters
board
isn't going to talk.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I guess we normally go around the table, say what do we get done this week.
Wait, this way?
Sure. No, we start with you.
Sure.
So cool.
Actually,
So cool.
a lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts, there was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything.
Yeah.
There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required, so people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, etc. And so the one change that DOGE made with the Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so,
Hi, Cloudman.
nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could
Lots
send a
of
fake
arrests.
receipt. You could send a picture of
Agreed.
your dog. Anything. Anything. And but as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes, they were like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes,
Leasing stadiums.
leasing stadiums
Yes.
For what?
for parties, basically.
For parties.
Yes,
That's a big party.
it's a big party.
For sure.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
For sure.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger until they're literally renting out stadiums.
Very much so.
What's like $1 million to rent out a stadium?
Fraud in flagrante delicto, okay? We're talking
Yeah.
at scale.
This is driving me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
When you
Same.
find these things, do you guys get mad? You're like, yes, I got one. How does it make you feel?
It's so common.
It's so common.
I mean, you just get
numb to it. Like,
unfortunately, like the 100th time you heard it, it's hard not to get a little numb.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, for sure.
And by the 200th time, you're like, well, okay, it's just another day at the office.
we checked, is the Small Business Administration giving loans to
Hi, Duke.
dead people over the age of 120? The answer was yes, and it was around $330 million in total. So
People with a birthday that could not possibly be real.
Yeah.
Meaning they're over 100, they're 115 years old or older. The oldest living American is 114. So it's safe to say if anybody is in the system as 115 years or older, that is fake.
So just by sharing
Hey,
a
everyone.
database
Hi,
and
Richard.
looking at social security numbers, that showed that at the time of the loan, they had listed as over 115 years old, or actually under 11. We didn't even check for under 18.
Babies and dead
Under 11 years old. That's pretty clear.
Babies
That's
and dead people
wild.
who are getting loans.
That was $660 million.
And
Wild.
also people with birthdays in the future.
What does that mean?
Well, in one, I think the birthday, I think in one case was like
Fetuses were getting
No, not
loans.
even. No, literally sort of like you're talking about like your great grandchildren. Like with the birth date, like I think it was like 2165. So more than a century from now was the birth date.
George Jetson was getting paid.
Yes, because
Basically,
your
yes,
birthday is in the
absolutely.
future, like the far future, not like next year.
Right.
And this is either fraudulent or we have your birthday wrong.
Either a
Exactly.
typo or someone stealing.
Which is it? Yes.
Right.
Yes. You should at least ask, which is it?
Do you guys feel you're getting justice and accountability?
One of the, I think, extreme examples of non-accountability in some cases has occurred at some of the small agencies. I think the
Hi, California
Inter-American
Watch.
Foundation, IAF, is one of the agencies we visited where, they get $50 million a year, congressional money, to give grants. These are things like, alpaca farming in Peru, improving
That's a real example.
Yes.
That is
So
a
those
real
different,
example.
improving the marketability of peas in Guatemala.
Really?
Fruit
No,
jam.
that is for sure a real
and-
example.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
And so you might expect, in the private sector, a nonprofit to give, 80 to 90% of their money to grantees. In the case of IAF, that was 58%. So the other half goes towards management, travel.
What we're defined exactly, I mean, to Ethan's example is that even if you agreed with supporting alpaca farmers in Peru, well, actually, most of the money never made it out of DC.
Exactly.
It's going into the pockets of people in the neighborhood.
What percentage
Didn't even get to Peru.
Right. So what percentage do you think doesn't even get to the destination it's supposed to?
I believe the GAO estimates, this is not our estimate, I believe it was on the order of only 10 to 15 cents on the dollar actually gets to the end recipient, whether you agree with that cause or not.
So they're just stealing the money before it even gets anywhere.
There's
Basically,
layers of stealing.
Yes.
So there's the first layer of stealing, second layer of stealing, third layer of stealing.
Subcontractor,
Peeling the onion. Yeah, exactly. Contractor, subcontractor. It's like peeling an onion. And then maybe, and sometimes it's zero.
Hi guys, how are you?
You get to the bottom of the onion, there's nothing
Hello,
there.
Dave. Hello,
So
John.
maybe no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
It's possible that no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
I overheard a contractor tell one of her colleagues to falsify billable hours by creating a PowerPoint to mask a delay in the onboarding process in front of me. And this is like hour zero at this agency. And so, I mean, this is just a common theme that you take a look at these contracts, you take a look at these grants, and it's veiled in noble rhetoric. You know, it's at the top level. It
sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And then you actually just follow what are the funds actually doing?
Or send us a picture.
Exactly. And
The send us a picture request is incredibly good. Like Pixar didn't happen.
Exactly.
And they're like, and
For
it
sure.
wouldn't be that hard to just, frankly, they could search for some fake pics on the internet or get AI to generate the pics, but they don't even bother doing that.
So you caught them cold billing fraud.
oh, I caught them, her advising her colleague to do this because it takes a few days to onboard. So that is being investigated right now.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, generally, like these programs, these grants are going to be like along the lines of save the baby pandas. And it's like, well, of course, who wouldn't want to save the baby pandas? And you know, in some cases, they've got a show panda, which they will trot out for special occasions. In a lot of cases, they don't even have a show panda.
No panda.
There's not even one panda.
No
Because we asked the
pandas.
victors, and
No pandas.
we don't even get one panda. And
No.
it's like, well, you gotta. Well, that's a lot. You know, what does $1 billion get you? It does not even get you one panda.
You really want to see a baby panda?
Yeah, well, like, you know, like the Ebola money. We're like, okay, well, we agree with, like, we shouldn't have Ebola, you know. Where's the money going? Oh, it's going to Deloitte in D.C. Like, what is an accounting
Exactly.
firm doing?
It's not even going where
with
it's supposed
Ebola
to be going.
money?
What has been the biggest resistance? Is there one agency? Is there one department that when you guys walk in, they all start fighting you, start hiding
Wait, I thought you weren't going to
things?
talk.
I'm sorry.
But I guess you can answer that question. Sure. I mean, let's yes, we've certainly had some battles.
San Diego
Yeah,
Pandas.
I mean,
Yeah,
who should talk about you, sir?
Nate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's an agency, a small agency called the United States Institute of Peace. It's definitely the agency we had the most fight at. We actually went into the agency and found they had loaded guns inside of their headquarters. Institute for Peace.
I mean, any given company, any given organizational name is going to be kind of be the opposite of the title.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with,
Yeah.
ironically.
Of course.
Additionally, we found that they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. This is real. We don't
No
encounter that in most
way.
agencies.
Yeah.
What?
What was the money going to the Taliban for?
So it was a contractor. They received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
Was it for opium
No.
unclear.
or weapons?
What?
Or
Yeah.
nothing.
Or nothing.
Or a
nothing.
bribe?
Or yeah, nothing.
And you naturally have to ask the question, well, how did we get here? Like when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies. Today there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Okay.
So
Try to hide the evidence.
Right, so just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years.
Wow.
So you'd have to ask the question, well, why would somebody do that? And the DOGE team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace. And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight.
Wow.
And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies. And this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're
Hey
sending
guys,
it to the
how
Taliban.
are you?
They have loaded weapons in the department buildings
At the Institute of Peace.
at the Institute
Wow.
of Peace.
That's right.
So this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
And this one is a cover-up.
It's a cover-up.
Delete a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
Yeah.
Yes. that is
Shred
legal.
documents?
It is. It's certainly illegal to delete accounting
It is.
records that that Congress would certainly want to know where the congressionally appropriated funds are going from taxpayers.
When you catch them going Hillary style on their computers, do you refer this to the Department of
So
Justice?
crazy.
In this case, we did refer the evidence in the accounting example to the FBI and DOJ, and we were proud to do that. So yes, we did.
Resistance has shown up in some very surprising places. So, for example,
Hello, Crystal.
famous fork in the road email, the deferred
Richard.
resignation program. So this was a program where you could resign from the government, collect pay and benefits for the next 8 months. Probably the most attractive separation program ever in human history. And the resistance
for
actually
sure.
came from the outside
sure.
with people saying this is a trick. And I've heard somebody refer to it as an apple with a razor blade. And no, this was just a really juicy apple, caramel dipped apple. It was that good, but people were talked out of taking it. And now what started to happen is we did about 80,000 people take it, and now those folks who did take it are on the beach or they've moved on to a new job and they're still getting paid. And so now we're starting to offer Fork 2 and Fork 3, where people can see that someone's eaten this apple and it was actually really tasty and good for them.
Is DOGE just getting started? This is a
let us
long-term
know.
enterprise.
It's a long-term enterprise
Hi,
because
Richard.
if we take our eye off the ball, the waste and fraud will come roaring back.
Yes.
They can Doge when Democrats get back in power.
Well, I think some of the things that, like, we're trying to have it be such that the funding is removed, so the grants are gone. So there's a lot of work required to restart the waste and fraud, and that will at least slow it down.
Elon Musk shows primetime The Cave, the money faucet, and the Stone Age phones. Right back. We're back, part 2. The exclusive interview with Elon Musk and the Doge boys. They took us inside the caves of bureaucracy. Watch this. We heard about a cave. We had federal workers working in a cave.
Hi, Master.
Yeah.
Are they still?
Joe's actually been to the cave. Do you want to
Thank
tell us
you.
about your caving?
I wouldn't mind
You
it.
You're spelunking.
So I've been helping out with retirement. And a few weeks ago, I had a chance to go to the mine. And so I took a golf cart through security down into the side of a mountain and entered daylight left. And I entered this whole space of caverns and roads. And we get to a metal door and I open it up. And there in front of me is a sea of filing cabinets from the 1960s. And I'm walking around, it's super chilly, smells like paper. And, I realize as a mine, it's a great mine. It's secure, it's well lit, temperature
We're
controlled.
watching Jesse
So
Waters
the question
and
we're not asking,
Doge.
we're asking is this a good place to store physical media, which it is. It's amazing for that. The question is, why are we still using paper in 2025? So I brought something to show you
Yeah.
of what's inside the mind.
And it normally, the normal process for retirement is can be over 6 months. So once you file your retirement papers, that's why it takes 6 months.
What is that?
So these are replica case folders that people use to retire from the government. And so these are all compiled by hand, moved around on carts through the mind. It takes many months to do that. And this one is a single retiree's paper required to leave
That's
the government.
crazy.
If somebody wants to retire,
Crazy.
they can't because it takes 6 months to compile the paper and carry the paper into a mine where it is stored. And also, all the calculations are done by hand.
Everything has
In
to be
2025.
reconciled, adjudicated. This is thicker than the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
And if I had to process this, I would rather do my taxes in the dark than have to go through this.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is we're bringing this process online with modern software.
Bye, Master. Have a
And
good
I'm
night.
excited to share that as of tonight, we have 25 retirees going through an entirely online retirement process in the government for the very first time.
It sounds so simple.
Yes, and it's great collaboration with Retirement Services inside OPM. So this has always been
Hi,
their dream,
Richard.
and we're just here to help accelerate it.
That's a pretty fat stack. Was that Kissinger's?
Oh no, the record is almost, several shopping carts.
There's a whole pallet for one retiree
It's a
with
pallet.
27 boxes of paper on it.
For one guy.
That's the record.
I've
yeah.
seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, and it also frees up people, because we shouldn't have over 1,000 people carrying paper into a mine. That is not a good use of people's lives.
No.
So there are many other things that they could do that would be far more productive than carrying paper into a mine.
If you were to say, we have iPhones, does the government have pay phones? Like, how prehistoric is this technology?
Oh yes, it's very prehistoric.
It's very prehistoric.
It's like Flintstones.
It's
Mini
Flintstone level
golf does
stuff.
sound fun.
It's so prehistoric. Like dinosaurs would think this is, kind of old. That's how prehistoric it is.
Okay. So
basically the only thing living was a sponge. That's how prehistoric it was.
Okay, so we're leaving the Stone Age and we're moving into the Golden Age.
Danielle, hey, Danielle, I do have mods.
There was a story I heard about mules. There were mules delivering mail to the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Which might not be a bad thing, actually.
You have the mule picture.
Yeah.
Picture it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but this is a case where actually it might not. I think. Do we agree with the mule, or should there be mules?
Modernized. I think it can be modernized,
Hello.
but
There's opportunity for improvement.
yes, right.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm at the Postal Service. I think a lot of people don't realize that there's actually a law that says that the post office is supposed to have a balanced budget.
There is.
Yeah, there is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's not.
I didn't
is
know
it?
that.
No, it's not.
So they're breaking the law.
They're breaking the law.
Okay.
Basically, since 2007, almost every year since 2007, they've lost money. So you might ask, what happened in 2007? So there was additional.
2007?
Yeah, there was additional regulation
Okay.
that went into place that essentially crippled them and put them down this not good path where they essentially are stuck in the past as well as bleeding money left and right.
Okay.
So it's great and we appreciate that the postal employees are willing to go to the hardest parts in this country. But we think that we can modernize it and help them become profitable. Right now, last year they lost $9.5 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Serious
Glad
money.
you're doing stream. Oh, thank you very much.
We finally meet Big Balls. Up next.
Yay, he's next. You
Part
guys
three.
remember Big Balls?
Here's the interview with Elon Musk and the rest of the DOGE
Oh,
crew.
yeah.
We finally asked the one question on our mind. Who's Big Balls?
It's big.
That should be obvious.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
Okay.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves super seriously, and they're pretty
do.
adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of
Thank
those
you,
things.
Danielle.
So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
What, what does Big Balls do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So one of our initiatives is to root out fraud and waste. And to do that, we started looking at the payment computers. And as mentioned earlier, like there is no accounting of what payments actually go to in the payment computer. So like you look at a specific line item, like $20 million. You're like, okay, well, what is this money going to? And for the majority of payment systems, it's like, well, we don't really know. And
Yeah, they're like, what? That would be the response.
Is this the most basic responses?
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the most common response.
What do you say when people just say,
I hope he
don't
did
know.
get-
Well, it's a huge.
Exclusive look into DOGE.
Oh no.
Elon Musk was nice enough to invite us into the Eisenhower building
I hope
last
he
night
did get an
to
autograph
sit
from
in on
Big
his
Balls.
weekly 10 p.m. DOGE meeting. Yeah, they usually meet at 10 o'clock. I'm almost in bed by then. We met to him like, if you were to say, we have iPhones, does the government have payphone?
Might not be a bad thing, actually.
You have the mule picture.
Yeah.
Picture doesn't exist.
Yeah, but this is a case where actually it might not. I think. Do we agree with the mule, or should there be mules?
Modernized. I think it can be modernized, but
There's opportunity for improvement.
yes, right.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, I'm at the Postal Service. I think a lot of people don't realize that there's actually a law that says that the post office is supposed to like have a balanced budget.
There is.
Yeah, there is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's not working, is it?
No, it's not.
So they're breaking the law.
They're breaking the law.
Okay.
Basically, since 2007, almost every year since 2007, they've lost money. So you might ask, like, what happened in 2007? So there was
What happened in
additional.
2007?
Yeah, there was additional regulation
Okay.
that went into place that essentially crippled them and put them down this like not good path where they essentially are stuck in the past as well as bleeding money left and right.
Okay.
So like it's great and we appreciate that the postal employees are willing to go to the hardest parts like in this country. But we think we can modernize it and help them become profitable. Right now, last year they lost $9.5 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Serious money.
We finally
Okay, now
meet
we're
Big
back.
Balls.
Sorry about that, guys.
Up next.
Sorry about that. Who's Big Balls?
Part 3. Here's the interview with Elon Musk and the rest of the DOGE crew. We finally asked the one question on our mind. Who's
So-
Big Balls?
It's big.
That should be obvious.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just said it as my LinkedIn username.
I love it.
Okay.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously, and they're pretty
do.
adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't even think anyone would notice.
Yeah.
So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
What, what does Big Balls do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So one of our initiatives is to root out fraud and waste. And to do that, we started looking at the payment computers. And as mentioned earlier, like there is no accounting of what payments actually go to in the payment computer. So like you look at a specific line item, like $20 million. You're like, okay, well, what is this money going to? And for the majority of payment systems, it's like, well, we don't really know. And
Yeah, they're like, what? That would be the response.
Is this the most basic responses?
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the most common response.
What do you say when people just say, I don't know?
Well, it's a huge cause for concern because, like, the
Kelly,
upstream thing, which is
hi.
distributing the money, literally has no checks.
Modernized, but
No!
There's opportunity for improvement.
yes, right.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, I'm at the Postal Service. I think a lot of people
Wait, Kelly, we just learned. We just learned who Big Balls was with Doge. Darn it, it made me go back. It's okay, we can go back for a minute. Kelly's my favorite, so we had to go back for her. But we just learned who Big Balls was with Doge.
2007, almost every year since 2007, they've lost money. So you might ask, like, what happened in 2007? So
Yeah.
there was
What happened in
additional
2007?
yeah, there was additional regulation that went into place that essentially crippled them and put them down this like not good path where they essentially are stuck in the past as well as bleeding money left and right. So like it's great and we appreciate that the postal employees are willing to go to the hardest parts like in this country. But we
So
think that
this
we
is
can modernize
Doge's
it
weekly
and
meeting
help
with
them
Elon
become
Musk and
profitable.
Jesse Waters is.
Right now, last year they lost $9.5 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Serious money.
We finally meet Big Balls.
Big balls.
Up next. Part 3.
Here we go again.
Here's the
I'm
interview
so
with
sorry,
Elon
you guys.
Musk and the rest of the Doge crew. We finally asked the one question on our mind. Who's Big Balls?
It's big.
That should be obvious.
Sorry, I went back to that again.
Why do they call you Big Balls?
I just
Hi,
said it as my
Miles.
LinkedIn username.
Okay.
Well, people on LinkedIn take themselves like super seriously, and they're pretty
do.
adverse to risk. And I was like, well, I want to be neither of those things. So I said it, and honestly, I didn't think anyone would notice.
Yeah.
So what do you
LinkedIn
do?
is so cringe.
What, what does Big Balls do?
Right now, I'm working on some payment computer stuff. So one of our initiatives is to root out fraud and waste. And to do that,
I
we
know
started
he's
looking
a
at the payment
baby.
computers.
He's a baby.
And as mentioned earlier, like there is no accounting of what payments actually go to in the payment computer. So
Smart
like
kids,
you look at
though.
a specific line item, like $20 million. You're like, okay, well, what is this money going to? And for the majority of payment systems, it's like, well, we don't really know. And
Yeah, they're like, what? That would be the response.
Is this the most basic responses?
Yeah.
yeah.
Hi,
most
Danielle.
common
I'm glad you're
response.
back, dear.
What do you say when people just say, I don't know?
Well, it's a huge cause for concern because like the upstream thing, which is distributing
Doge
money,
balls
literally
make-
has no checks and no accountability to the actual American taxpayer. So it's a huge vector for fraud, waste, and abuse.
Do these people not respect taxpayer money?
No,
I mean, there's no incentive to if you work in the government.
exactly.
I think the
Exactly.
incentives will always decide the outcomes.
Yes.
Do you guys feel like you're putting yourself at risk by doing this because you're stirring
And these
up
are kids, you guys.
so much
They're
hostility
kids.
by these people ripping us off?
100%. Well, we don't need to speculate about that. You can see online in the protests that they make that very clear. I mean, I've been hanged in effigy many times. And there have been people that have actively advocated at these violent protests for my death, and have also advocated for the death of the people at Doge.
I think the young folks of us have gotten email threats from reporters and the public alike. I think, speaking for myself, I dropped out of Harvard and came here to serve my country.
Crazy.
And it's been unfortunate to see, lost friendships. Most of campus hates me now. But I think fundamentally, I hope people realize through conversations like this that reform is genuinely needed. And if there's one, I think this is important to say, if there's one group of people who really have a shot at success, it's the people here. They're up until 2 a.m., Monday through Sunday. Doge does not recognize weekends. We're working all the time.
What inspired you to drop out of Harvard to do this?
There's a lot of reform that's needed. I think the value of this and the impact here is so much more vast than anything you could learn in a classroom doing computer science.
And you guys are sleeping here, I'm hearing. You guys are up all night. You have this meeting at 10 o'clock every Wednesday?
Wow.
We'll probably go back to work right after this.
Yeah.
You're going back to work after this?
Yes.
Right.
It's almost 11 o'clock.
So that's early.
It's early?
Yeah.
Can I go to bed? It's an incredible work ethic. You guys should be really, really proud of yourself. Do good people come up to you and say thank you
Yes,
for
Kelly.
doing what you're doing?
Absolutely. There are people in the State Department that will stop you, or all of the agencies that we've been to, that'll stop you in the hallways or write emails and say, I was scared to write this, or I don't know if you're interested in this. But they usually have great ideas. And if they often have the best ideas because they've worked in the places and they've been stifled by the bureaucracy for so many years. So one of the great things that, at least in my experience, we listen to them and empower them.
So yes, in fact, I'd like to emphasize that because we'd like to just give a big thank you to all the government employees who are helping reduce the waste and fraud, because this is, we really couldn't do it without you. So
it's a group effort.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not trying to sort of say all government employees are bad. That's absolutely not the case. It's just that, there actually just does need to be a serious effort to reduce the waste and fraud. And we're just making it happen. And a lot of people in the government are very glad to see it happen.
I think it's really important to recognize every single person around this table that's embedded within an agency is supporting that agency, whether they're working on systems or working through people. We are encountering droves of government employees who are missionaries, not mercenaries, who are actually here serving because they believe in what they're doing. They want to do things well. We are trying to empower them, and they feel empowered now to ask the question of why? Why aren't we doing this? What else can we be doing? How can we fix this? And I think agency by agency, it is filled with exceptional government employees, right? And when we give them the tools, when we give them the systems, and we leave behind systems to help them do their jobs better, that's the permanent change, right? And they're embracing that, not because it's new to them, it's because it's something they've always wanted to do. But for the first time ever, we're giving them the tools and the collaboration.
They're getting empowered.
It's a very important message. Yeah. That message needs to get out a lot more. I'm so glad you said that.
We have exceptional people at all of our agencies. Yes. Exceptional. I mean, they do a thankless job and they work incredibly hard.
I love to hear how collaborative it is with these people in these agencies, and it's not all conflict. Sometimes in the media, you always hear about conflict, and you guys are considered these ruthless suits that come in and scare people. But
conflict is the exception. There is conflict, but that is the exception. It's actually true of history in general. People study the wars a lot, but actually most of the time there wasn't war.
It's just not as exciting.
Right. Exactly.
Well, for the TV guys, we like conflict, but in this case, we love the collaboration. So thank you guys. Thanks for allowing me this access in here. You guys are just really, really bright, young, smart patriots. And you have a great team. And thank you, Elon, for everything you've done for the country. We really appreciate it. We're eternally grateful.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
How cool is that? I love it. That was so cool. Those guys, they're so young, but you can tell they're very smart and very objective. Love it. How are you guys doing? Yay. That almost brings a tear to my eye. It really does. That was so cool. Anyway, what up, you guys? Kelly, that was great. I love it. And big balls. Shout out to big balls. Oh man, earlier in that same episode, they were finding out that the Department of Education, they had like a $2 billion COVID fund, and they were using some of this money to rent out rooms in Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas and rent out stadiums to have parties. What in the actual? So this is the type of fraud that these guys are finding. Actually, you want to know what? I have some news out of VA. I just got this news right before I went live. I got this news. Get this, you guys. Hold on, let me find it. So, Bill Malusian with Fox News. Speaking of Virginia, this just happened in Virginia. Richmond, Virginia. You guys, this is like 10 minutes from where I live right now. Richmond, Virginia. 3 correctional officers were stabbed. So it says 3 Virginia Department of Corrections officers were stabbed in a state prison today, and what the state says was a premeditated attack involving, get this, 5 MS-13 gang members, all of whom are are El Salvadorian illegal aliens who have been convicted of violent crimes. This just happened in Virginia, like 10 miles from me. So that's what's happening in Virginia right now. Can you believe it? Even in Virginia, and we're a red state. Sending prayers. Yeah, hopefully they're okay. It doesn't say the extent at their injuries. It just says the Virginia Department of Corrections, well, the attack occurred approximately at 9:45 a.m. on Friday, May 2nd, which is today. Big surprise. I don't know if that was sarcastic or not, Kelly. It could go either way, but it's like, it is like, shocker. They commit so many crimes. Yes, it was. Yeah. Shocker. No, Richmond is definitely, John says, sorry, Sarah, Richmond is not the safest city. I don't live in Richmond. I actually live outside of Richmond in a very rural area. That's why I feel comfortable telling people where I live, because there's no way you could ever know where I live. But yeah, the city of Richmond is just awful. But get this, like, even Virginia is a red state, but a lot of their jails are sanctuary. They have sanctuary jails, which means that Virginia doesn't have like sanctuary cities. It doesn't have sanctuary counties. It's not a sanctuary state, but their independent jails will act as sanctuary. Which basically means that they will not cooperate with ICE. So I would be curious to know, once I get off here, I might like investigate that a little bit further. I would be curious to know exactly what correctional facility this was. And I would be curious to know if this is one of the correctional facilities that does not cooperate with ICE. Because you have correctional facilities all over the state of Virginia that do not cooperate with ICE. And it's really frustrating. So I would be curious to know if that's one of them. Virginia is a weird state. Only place I know is saying I swear I could be saying I swear it could be a fine. No, it is a weird state because it's you have very liberal areas and then very red areas. So it's a weird state for sure. Private companies, I don't know. President Trump administration is about to begin collecting defaulted student loan payments next week, which could harm the credit scores of millions of borrowers. Yikes. Does anyone have student loans? I don't have student loans.
Security was made conditional on having that official role. That role that everybody knows, that myself and my wife wished to carry on, but was stopped from being able to do.
Kelly, you did. You paid it all back. I never had one because I went to community college, so I didn't have to take a loan out. I paid for college by working. I just went to community college. Braxton, the snake fiend. What's good? Nothing? Yeah, well, everyone here is smart. The people on my streams are really smart, so I don't suspect many people have student loans on my streams because they're pretty smart. Yeah, you paid it back quickly. Yeah, exactly. And the people that did, they pay it back pretty quickly. It's crazy because you see all these people online and they're crying about like paying. They're like, I've been paying my student loan for 10 years, and it's like you've been paying the minimum payment. So you've basically just been paying interest the whole time you've been paying it. So because of Trump's tariffs, Temu is going to start prioritizing things that are local because it's going to be too expensive to get things overseas. So it's kind of funny because this is exactly what Trump wanted. So Temu says, Temu, stop shipments from China as Trump axes trade loophole. I think that's hilarious. That's exactly what he wanted. College is trucky? Or do you mean tricky? Trucky? Paying off debt is like a second income. What do I think about Trump defunding NPR? Good, defund them. First of all, he didn't defund them. Only about 1% of their funding comes from federal funding. He just said, hey, you can't get taxpayer money. If you're going to be partisan, if you're going to violate your 501c3, then you don't get taxpayer money. They violated their it's not complicated. They violated their contract. They are under 501c3 contract. They violated it. They have been violating it for years. He's just the first one that has held them accountable. Also, only about 1% of their funding comes from federal money. So they're fine. If they want to violate their 501c3, then the contract is null. They can survive on their own. That's fine. So it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I support it. I heavily support it. And all these people saying he's going against free speech, they can do whatever they want. Violated their contract. They are under 501c3. They violated it. Look it up. Yeah, you get no taxpayer money. That's it. You can do whatever you want. It's a free country. Do whatever you want. You violated your contract. You don't get any more taxpayer money. Have a nice life. Goodbye. Privatize yourself. Stand on your own. Block Planned Parenthood. I support that too. I don't think Planned Parenthood should be. I've always maintained that. I don't think that Planned Parenthood should be government funded either. I don't think they should be getting any taxpayer money at all. Survive on your own. Stand on your own. If you wanna operate, go ahead and operate, but you don't get taxpayer money. So I support them being defunded as well. And I have a feeling that's coming, to be honest with you. I have a feeling that's coming. Oh, wow. I graduated 2005, paid off my student loans by 2007. That's impressive. Yeah. Yeah, you just don't get taxpayer money. That's it. You can do whatever you want. And again, people are making it out to be something. The media is lying to people. The taxpayer money only funds about 1% of NPR anyway. So it's not like it's a big thing. Agreed. Are you still trying to do it? Well, I never tried to do it. I did it. And no, I don't audition anymore. And I don't do jobs anymore. Chevron pays very well, but working on oil rigs is rough on the body. I could imagine. I just saw your Chuck Schumer about the polls. Yeah, Chuck Schumer, he's so funny. What is he doing? He cracks me up. He's like, he's talking about, he's making it a point. He's trying to make this whole grandstand about how horrible Trump's poll numbers are. And that was his whole thing. He's like, he's got the worst poll numbers. And then someone was like, but your poll numbers are only 17%. And he goes, polls come and go. Are you serious? That was the funniest thing ever. What is he doing? Does he not hear himself? That is so funny. At least try harder. At least try harder. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. It really was. Oh, this is so sad, you guys. In Southern California, it's so sad and tragic. Dozens of dead dolphins are showing up on sea. No. Dead dolphins and seals are washing up on LA beaches. Officials are blaming the toxic tide of wildfire debris. This is so sad. Dead dolphins and seals wash up on LA beaches as officials face blame for toxic tide of wildfire debris. Very sad. LA residents continue to witness the devastating impact of the deadly wildfires nearly 1 month on. Marine life now emerging as the latest casualty. The fallout from the destructive blaze has reached the city's coastline, where a deadly tide of toxic fire debris has resulted in dead dolphins and seals washing up along the iconic Santa Monica beach. That's so sad. Among them is surfer Ryan Harris, who has made these waters his playground for 25 years and has never been faced with the unsettling sight. In the same stretch of sand he walks past almost every day, he saw unimaginable Tuesday morning, a lifeless dolphin sprawled across the shore. Oh, that is so sad. I've lived here nearly 30 years and have never seen a dead dolphin. That's very sad. Hi, Dorian. That's very, very sad. This issue has prompted local environmental activists to host rallies appealing to elected officials to clean up the ocean and shorelines. Okay, well, that's good. Fire debris is a silent killer. The combination of toxic runoff, nutrient imbalances, and lingering pollutants, I don't know about. The whole fire thing is just really sad. The center has Marine Mammal Care Center is urging public to immediately call a 1-800 number to report beached seals and dolphins to give animals space. The center is also advised not to attempt to help these animals, noting that pouring water over them, feeding them can worsen their condition and add necessary stress. Encourage others to do the same. So sad. I can think of Gavin. I know. All right, you all. Well, that is everything I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining on the live stream. It was really fun to watch through all of the DOGE stuff. That was very interesting, actually. Very, very interesting. So I hope you all enjoyed that. And I will be back. I don't know if I'll be back over the weekend, but my news schedule is Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Every single 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7:30 Eastern to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll be here all of those nights. So hopefully I'll see you all there. I'm going to have my other system on so we're not this way and I can actually play you videos and not on my laptop. So it will be my other system. Oh, good. All right. So thank you so much, you all, and I will see you later. Hopefully, I'll see you on Monday. If I don't see you sometime this weekend, I'll see you Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be back here. All right. Bye, you all. Have a really good night. Bye.